Hi, good afternoon. My name's Alistair Cleland. I'm the Managing Director of Pentasia Recruitment.
I'm Gideon Bierer. I'm a founder and managing partner of Partis Solutions, leading consulting and M&A advisory firm in the online gambling industry.
And we're two companies within a group of companies called the Connexus Group. We're here today to talk around some of the findings that the salary survey that we conduct annually gave us specifically for the US market. If I can lead off with some headlines, if I may, that we picked up from the survey, which was done in November of last year. One key headline is 12.5% overall salary growth across the market in the US, 16% salary growth for leadership and senior leadership roles, and specifically in strategic leadership skills is in high demand, where 30% pay rises for people moving from one job to another is not uncommon.
And that's, Alistair, that's, I understand, November, this survey, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because we see in our consulting work, I mean, clearly we've had several years of rapidly growing US online market across all verticals, obviously sports, casino, a relatively shallow talent pool, sort of going into that growth period, and difficulties of many operators and suppliers to find and train and onboard experienced talent. And naturally that's led to a really high salary inflation environment. I think we have seen it with our clients in our consulting work in the last 6 months, but really in the last, really very recently, sort of Q4 into the beginning of this year, that the market's changing quite quickly. And there's been some well-publicized layoffs from some major companies, especially on the operator side. We saw earlier in 2022 a number of operators withdraw from or scale back their investment in the online sports vertical in particular. So I think whilst still accurate to characterize the market as being sort of short of a large indigenous talent pool for online gambling, the market has softened, and I think we'll probably see that in salaries softening a little bit now and going forward for a few months.
Yeah. And I think, I'll ask you this question, but I think what we have seen is a lot of the big American operators have acquired, and I think, do you think acquiring like Caesars with William Hill is giving them that talent pool perhaps that they are missing?
Yeah, and I think, yes, and all sorts of strategies, because there isn't a large base of legacy talent for this industry. So you've got to use a variety of creative ways. So of course, hiring from adjacent industries and training is a big, sports, tech, media, and so on. That's very important. Social gaming even. And the larger companies have the sort of expertise and scale to do that. Acqui-hires, acquiring companies primarily for the talent. We've seen some of that. We'll continue to see that, especially as some of the smaller companies struggle to survive and they'll get gobbled up. We have another sister company that's a leading training business, and their US practice is really growing very strongly. And of course, sort of transatlantic or international acquisitions as well. The cross-border is quite interesting, right?
Yeah.
Canada and the Caribbean, broadly defined, have been always been active in the offshore market in particular, as well as the Canadian domestic market. And we're seeing some, as the US market grows, some recycling of talent from those two neighboring markets, if you like, into the regulated US market as well.
And do you think, because obviously Gideon's based in the US, I'm in the UK, is there seeing a relaxing of the visa situation, you think?
I mean, there are different classes of visa. I won't go into a long discussion of US immigration policy, which is interesting. But historically, there's always the so-called H-1B visa, which is the primary visa to bring in skilled workers into the country. And it was almost impossible for many years to use that visa for the gambling industry, because the big tech companies there was a fixed supply, and the big tech companies would get hold of the visas really within a week of issuance of the annual supply. Now we started to see very recently one or two gambling industry visas for H-1B. So
Right.
linking to the tech layoffs in Silicon Valley and so on. So generally the conditions are softening. There are some countries like Canada where it's easier to bring in employees across the border. That Canada will continue to be a supply of talent for the industry. And the other thing which is important, especially for the land operators who have gone online, both in sports, but especially in the online casino market, they have a strategic interest in sort of leveraging their existing talent pool on the land side and cross-training or moving those people into the online side of their business. Gives them career growth, it keeps the whole organization together. And we're seeing a lot of efforts, both in the commercial casino sector and the tribal casino sector, to offer their employees that path. It works better in some departments and some functions than other. Very hard to move someone from, say, a land casino marketing team to a digital marketing team. But we have clients who, for example, have staffed all of their customer service function for online from their land team and operate it as one integrated whole, which works really well to have sort of one joined up relationship with the customer, and especially for VIPs as well, as you can imagine.
We've also seen, I think, again, you'll know more than I, but we've also seen organizations that would have looked at maybe New Jersey, the Northeast, looking at new areas where perhaps talent pool is a bit more easier to find, or perhaps where the salaries aren't as inflated, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's well known that New Jersey obviously has been the lead market, the lead state, and New Jersey has a requirement to have in-state staff in certain functions. So many companies, the majority of operators, set up in New Jersey first. And that was a factor, together with the growth and launch of Pennsylvania and now New York. There's a real sort of hotbed of talent and industry operations in that Northeast, New York, Philadelphia, Atlantic City triangle. A lot of the talent in the industry is there, but also a lot of salary inflation. So we've seen in the last year or two people focusing on key regional markets, building a team, maybe a little harder to hire the right kind of people with industry expertise, but with a bit of training and persistence. People are building teams in North Carolina and Florida and Texas, and those kind of hubs, places which are hubs for technology talent in many cases, maybe gaming talent, but not necessarily online gambling, but you build that expertise over time, and maybe the staff are a little more loyal to you because they don't have 20 other operators just next door looking to poach them.
Cool. Well, I think probably we've covered most of the things. I think what we would leave you with is to share that there's definitively a war for talent in the US market. It has softened a little bit because of the mass redundancies that we've seen, that the specific skill sets for sports, online, casino, I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Exactly, and the market fundamentally remains in growth mode, despite the gyrations of the stock market and some layoffs, some companies that may be overhired. We see companies, suppliers and operators, companies from adjacent industries like media, continuing to grow their businesses in and around online gambling, continuing to hire, and I think from the employee perspective, it's a good place to bet in terms of long-term career path, because this market is really in the early stages. And from an employer perspective, I think you're going to have to continue to use creative methods to find and retain the right staff, including all the methods that we've described today. So thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.